Okay, so let's recap the most important thing. Whenever taking in new information, at first glance, when you take it in, it's always much harder, right? There's a lot of new things that people didn't learn, or it's simple stuff, but it's just a lot coming in at the same time. So the first thing, and there's no people in the classroom, so the first thing is, let's do a quick recap of yesterday, because these halachas are actually very, very important for halacha l'maaseh, for things that people do from the day-to-day life. And it's important. Any part of Torah is very important. And this is included in that, to know the halachas down pat, to know what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. So, as yesterday we were learning the halachas of netilas yadayim l'seuda, washing the hands for a meal. Right? We all know that on average there's 3 times that a Jewish person washes their hands throughout the day. The first time is the first thing they do after they say Mega Ani, right? Even before their feet touch the floor, they make sure to wash Nagavasar once on the right, once on the left, a second time, and a third time in that pattern. Another time is after using the restroom, before making bracha v'shayatzar, the minhag is to wash with a vessel and not just to get the hands wet. And the third time is before eating. Okay. But the third time is before washing for bread. So just a quick recap. We learned the first 9 halachas of the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch yesterday. So anybody who wants to eat bread, we know that before you eat, before you have the seudah, the meal, this is very common for Shabbos, right after Kiddush. What does everyone do? They go to wash. Because washing for bread, that's a prerequisite for having bread. Now, as we mentioned yesterday, it's very important to keep in mind that if you're having just a little bit, you're not having the full share, which is around 2 ounces, give or take. You do not make a bracha of al netilas yadayim. So what would you do? If somebody comes to you and you say, wow, there's a new bakery in town, I want you to try a little bit. Can't have too much, we're saving it for later, but try just a little bit. And you agree to try it. So what do? For sure you have to wash, but you won't make a bracha al netilas yadayim if you're just having a little bit. If you're having a lot, then you'd make a bracha al netilas yadayim.
So how much is that up?
2 ounces. So practically speaking, if you take 2 little matchboxes and you'd fill that up with bread, so 2, they're very small. If you can fit it.
maybe show us.
Okay.
What is that, like this?
It's smaller even. So 2 of those.
2 of
2
those?
bit smaller. Yeah. So practically speaking, if you're having a sandwich, 2 loaves of bread, chances are you're going to be okay. If you're having a little bit, so just to try it, so you would wash, but you don't make a bracha al netilas yadayim. A mitzvah you do make, as was pointed out yesterday. And as was pointed out yesterday, when you actually go to wash, you have to use a vessel. So it has to be completely whole. It can't have any cracks, any holes. It has to be smooth on top. It can't have a spout. If it has a spout, you can still use the vessel. However, you can't pour the water from where the spout is. You should pour it from the side. Because the spout does not have a halachic status of a vessel. It's important to pour a lot of water each time. It should cover the entire hand, in between the fingers, on top, in between. The whole hand should be wet from the 1 pour at a time. If it takes 2 pours, that would be problematic. So it's always good. And as mentioned yesterday, the Gemara tells of our story of Rabbi Kasimov, one of the big sages, that he said that when he washed his hands, he used a lot of water. And because he used a lot of water, Hashem gave him a lot of bracha, a lot of blessings for that. So now we know it has to be from a vessel. what kind of vessel, how much water has to cover the head, it has to be a lot of water. Now, how do you make the bracha? So as mentioned yesterday, you put your hands together, you rub them together, and that's when you make the bracha. Asher kedishanu b'mitzvayis v'tzivanu al netilas yadayim. As mentioned, there are those that have a custom to wash 2 times, 1, 2, 1, 2. This is a 100% valid custom. The minute command is to do it 3 times. So 1, 2, 3, the right hand first, and the left hand 1, 2, 3. Now, very interesting. As was mentioned yesterday, this is not any new information, but it's very important to keep in mind. If before you dried your hand, by accident touched the hand that was not wet, or your friend came with such exciting news and it came to tell you, wow, you heard the tremendous news. They grabbed your hand before you dried it, you have to dry it and wash it again. Because so long as there's water on the hand, it can still become tameh, and that would be problematic. So you don't just wash again, you dry your hand and then wash it again. Now, what happens if you're going on a picnic, you're going to a park, and you forgot to take a vessel? You don't have a cup, you don't have a water bottle, you don't even have a soda bottle, you have nothing. So if you have a river, you have a lake, or there's an ocean, you went to a beach, whatever it is, what do? So you don't have a vessel, but what you can do is you stick in your hand 1, 2, 3, and it goes until the wrist. The other hand, same idea 3 times, and you make a bracha al netilas yadayim. Now, b'shas adchak, which means that there's a very pressing situation. Somebody's very hungry, somebody's not feeling well, there's no water, but it happens to be, it's in the winter. And there's snow around, and there's a large amount of snow. So what you should do is you should melt a little bit of snow with your hands, dry your hands beforehand, and do the same thing. You dip your hands in the snow 3 times, and you make the bracha. And the last 2 halachas that we learned yesterday is water that the color changed, right? Either it changed naturally, actually not. If it was naturally, it's okay. Either it changed because of the setting that whatever was sitting in. Let's say sometimes when they do construction, it's very common in Brooklyn, you'll open the tap and sometimes you see the water's brown, right? It doesn't look like water anymore, it's brown water. So because it's now brown, it's changed colors. If it would be blue, it would be the same thing. If it would be green, same idea. If it changed its color from natural water, that it should not be used for netilas yadayim. Usually, if such a thing happens, we'll let the tap run for a few more minutes, we'll turn it off, turn it on a few times. Usually the water does come back to its normal thing. That's in New York, usually that's what happens. I'm sure other states also. I just can't say for sure. If something disgusting, I don't want to say disgusting, but unpleasant happens to the water, for example, not kosher animal drank from it, the water is no longer as clean as it used to be, it should not be used. If a kosher animal drank from it, it's okay. If a person drank from it, it's also fine. And if somebody accidentally touched the water, they filled up the vessel, the keli, they touched the water by accident, you can still use it for netilas yadayim. Okay, now we're going to be learning the new halachas for today. It's very possible, Mitzvah Shem, that we're going to finish these halachas, and then we're going to move on to halachas Shabbos, or things in the kitchen, and specifically how to leave a cholent pot, cooking on Shabbos, all of these very important halachas. Now, in the previous halacha we just mentioned, we only said if the color of the water changes, then that would be problematic to use. Now, there's another aspect. If you have salt water in the 10th halacha, Sif Yud. Mayim meluchim, sruchim, marim, ayakurim, im ein ru'im l'shiyas kelab, psulam netilas yadayim. If you have water for some reason that's very, very salty, you find yourself in Israel, in Eretz Yisrael, and you're by one of the lakes, and the water is so salty, or you find yourself somewhere else, the water is so bitter that even a dog wouldn't drink from it. That water cannot be used for washing the hands for the meal. Okay, the next halacha is actually very, very, very important. As we mentioned earlier, we mentioned that the water has to cover the entire hand up until the wrist. Now, there's a few aspects to that. Number one, that the actual pouring of the water should cover everything until the wrist, but also that there shouldn't be anything on the actual hand itself. Why? What's the problem if you have something on the hand? That would block the water from actually reaching the hand. And the halacha is the entire hand has to be covered with water. So let's read it inside and get the details. Yud Aleph, Kaidim Hanatila, before washing the hands, you have to look over the hands, that they should be clean without any chatzitza. A chatzitza is something that would cause a separation. It's something on the hand that if you put the water, it's going to block the water from going on the hand. These two last things are actually very important. So it says anybody with long nails, which is a very common thing, before they wash, they should check under the nails to make sure that there's no dirt under the nails, that the under the nails should be completely clean. Yeah, sure. That's a very good question. Yeah, very, very good question. So nail polish, regular nail polish, gel nail polish, extensions, all of these things, that's okay. For until Sudan. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So for the mikvah, that's very different. For the mikvah, it should be taken off because a mikvah, it's much more serious than for Nitil Sudan. Nitil Sudan is midrabanon. Mikvah is a isserkanis. It's much more severe. So when it comes to Nitil Sudan, for the skoda, it's much more of a lenient halacha. So for that, if the nail is whole, the nail polish is complete. There's no cracks. There's no. You still like it. You're not ready to change it yet. Being if a person likes it, there's a special halacha that it's not a chatzitza. So this is actually a very, very large topic. That's not for now, but it's something to keep in mind that extensions, these things, if they're all whole, they're complete, there's no cracks, you're not ready to take it off, that's completely fine. Now, the next thing is a ring. So a ring, right?
We lost a lot of rings from this.
No, you don't have to lose it.
But it's happening.
You just take it off, you wash, and you can put it right back on. Sorry? Then it would depend. If the ring is a little bit loose, that theoretically the water could get through, meaning if you twist it around and it moves, that shows you that the water can actually get through. So if after the fact that happened, it's okay. If it's a very tight ring, the water cannot get through, that should be taken off. But, as mentioned yesterday, with Hatchila, before the fact, not after the fact, even if it's a little bit loose, it should be taken off. After the fact, if it's loose in a way that the water could get through, that's okay. Okay, Yud Beis, this is also in the same light. Mishi Yad of Tzvoy, somebody whose hands are colored. What can that be? Somebody was dealing with dyes. They were coloring, they were doing something with dyes throughout the day, and their hand got some color on them. So, if when you feel your hand where the dye is, where the color is, you don't feel anything. You only feel your skin, meaning all it is just a color. There's no substance to it. That's okay. So you should clean it out to the best of your ability. But if there's any dye left, so as long as you don't feel any substance, it's not a problem. However, but let's say somebody was painting, and the type of paint that they use was a very thick paint. Sometimes you have water paint, it doesn't have any actual substance to it. But if you have the thicker paints that when you feel it, you actually feel substance, you can crack it off sometimes, there's something there, that is considered a chatzitza. So this is a very, very practical thing. Somebody was painting and they want to go to sit down to eat the meal. It's very important to wash off the hands completely to make sure that there's no leftover paint. Now again, if somebody simply cannot take it off, they're scrubbing, it's not coming off. So if when you feel your hand, you don't feel any substance, there's no mamashos, there's no substance to it, all you see is a color, that's not a chatzitza, that's okay. Im hu umen bekaf dahainu shel tzava, v'chemer shel tabach, v'yodem u'leflachis b'dam, shel sefer, that's ba'esef u'leflachis b'diyai, v'ragel bekaf, v'chem bali umnuz b'zoris, ein makpidim bekaf, loy have a chatzitza, el im kein hu b'rev hayad. Now, this is actually a very, very interesting halacha. What happens if somebody, this is their parnasa, this is what they do for a living. Somebody is a painter, they paint houses, they paint the walls. Somebody's an artist, and the whole day what they do is they paint. So at any given moment, you would see on their hands paint, because that's what they do, right? An electrician, you'll always see them carrying the tools. Right? Everybody with their profession, when they walk in the street and they're still in uniform, right? They still have part of their job with them. So it's very, very common that a painter, when you look at a painter, so aside from the tools that he has, you always see there's a little bit of paint on his hands. And usually if somebody, that's their parnasa, that's their job, that's what they do, by such people we say the halacha is that majority of people in their field don't really care about it because that's what they do the whole day. So this paint that's on their hand, even if it has some substance, it doesn't bother them. That's what they do for a living. So for them specifically, that's not considered a chatzitza. So if somebody's an artist, it's not so simple to apply the same halacha because an artist usually, or somebody by their nature is more of a cleaner person, you're not going to see them walking the street with their hands filled with paint. So that halacha would not necessarily apply to everyone. So halacha l'maisa, what should be done is before washing is to actually remove any and all paint from the hands. Now, something very, very common. Somebody who has a band-aid on their hand, they can have a splint, something that's covering the hand. Sometimes you have a cast. What do? So for now, we're going to start with a band-aid. So the halacha is, if it doesn't hurt, it should be taken off. Right? If it's just a small cut, but it doesn't really bother you, there's no pain by taking off the band-aid, so it should be taken off before washing. After you wash, you'll put it back on. If for some reason somebody has a lot of pain, it's a very deep wound, there's a lot to it, it's dangerous to take it off, whatever it is, so there is a leniency. If it hurts a lot to take off, you leave it and you wash as is. Okay, so that's those halachas. Now, somebody asked yesterday, can you wash from the sink? Right, it's a very valid question. So the answer, in short, is a sink may not be used to wash for Netilas Yadayim, because there's a special halacha that it has to come from koyach gavra, which what that means a human being actually has to do it. So when you turn on the tap, so it's true that you turn on the tap, however, what's actually pushing the water is not coming from koyach gavra, it's not coming from a person, rather it's coming from the current, whatever it is, pressure. What's mentioned over here in the 13th halacha is sometimes it could work. That's not talking about our taps, rather it's talking about if somebody has a big barrel of water, that's a little bit different. Now, the 14th halacha, Yudalid. Somebody is on a very long road trip. Yeah, they're going with a family to taking a long road trip to Texas, for example. Let's say a very random place. And you're on the road and there's no rest stops for the next very long time. So let's read it inside and we'll see that sometimes there could be leniencies. So Yudalid, 14th halacha. Also, lechel blei netila. It's not allowed to eat. One is not allowed to eat bread without washing their hands. Afilu im reitzeh lichrich yodav b'mapa. So you're on your trip, you want to eat, and you know that it's a big headache to leave the car, to wash. People are watching. What do I need this? Can I just wrap my hands in something, put on gloves, and eat? Is that okay? So the answer is that even if someone is going to wrap their hands, it's still not allowed under regular circumstances. They still have to wash properly with water and from a vessel, which again, if you're on the road, a plastic cup would suffice as long as you wash properly, covering the entire hand.
So can I take this and do one?
Sure. Yeah. You do it once, you fill it up, you wash, fill it up, wash again, 3 times, and then 3 times, 100%, yes. Now, however, with that being said, the imu baderech, if one is on their way, the ein mayim, and there simply isn't water. Until now, we were saying there is water, it's just a hassle to go and wash. So that, nevertheless, one still has to wash. However, what happens if one is traveling and they check the GPS and you're not going to have water available for the next long time? What do you do? So, if you know that within 4 million, which it's not miles, I'm going to in the new Lubavitcher ones they have in the back.
I think it's on the back. It says
How do they?
18 minutes.
18 minutes walking. Oh, perfect. So 18, that's backwards and going forwards. How much is it?
1 mile backward.
1 mile backwards, yeah, and back and forward. What does it say?
4 mile forward.
And in the back, does it give a practical kilometers or miles? It doesn't have it, this print? Oh, thank you. Oh, here we go. Mil is 0.7 miles, which is, for anybody who's not American, I myself am not American, it's around, it's just over, a little bit over a kilometer. So a mile, it's 0.7 miles, and a kilometer, it's 1.07 kilometers. Okay, thank you. Oh, you have it on the thing, okay. Okay, perfect. So the English ones do have it. Okay, perfect. So if one is traveling and they know that going forward, they have under 4 miles, they'll have water, or going backwards, they'll have almost 0.7, almost a mile backwards, there's water. So then one should go back or wait until they reach the next rest stop to actually wash the hands properly. Now, what happens? But if you're in a place, which Baruch Hashem today is not so common, especially when you're driving. So even if you have much longer distances, the car, you're going to get that distance, whatever you can reach with the car, they weren't able to reach by foot, right? You'll drive 20 minutes, you're able to cover so much more ground than back in the day when they had wagons or they went by foot. So if for whatever reason somebody is in a place where there's just no water, or let's say you're going on the megabus, Greyhound, whatever it is, and you're afraid somehow that if you're going to go search for water by the stop, you're going to lose the bus. Today they wait for you, so it's not, they take account of who's there. So these things, Baruch Hashem, today are not so common, but in a case where one has such a concern, or somebody who simply has another condition where they cannot wash their hands, whatever it is, so then then what you do is, if you have absolutely no other choice, then you could put on gloves or put the hands in the towel, whatever, something else, so you're not actually touching the bread, and you can eat like that. You would make a bracha hamaitzi, eat regularly, you would bench afterwards, but of course you would not make an al natil sidaim because you didn't wash. Now, this is actually a very common halacha. As was mentioned, that there's 3 times generally one washes properly with a kvart, properly for Natil Sidaim. First time is when you wake up before you say Meida Ani, after you say Meida Ani. The second time is after using the restroom. Now, here what happens if you have to make a bracha shayatzar, right after using the restroom, but you're also about to wash for your meal. Then what's going to happen? You're going to wash, but if you make a bracha of a shayatzar after washing, it's going to be a hefsek for the bracha, so you can make an al natil sidaim. Then you're going to make a bracha a shayatzar. It's going to be a hefsek between the natil sidaim to the hamaitzi. Right? Usually, what happens? Somebody makes the bracha al natil sidaim. We all know that you can't speak until you make the bracha hamaitzi, and then you can talk, right? But over here, somebody has to make the bracha shayatza. They just use the restroom. They wash their hands. So they'll make the bracha al natil sidaim. What happens if you make what happens to the shayatza? It's going to be smack in between the bracha of natil sidaim and hamaitzi. So for that, there's actually different opinions on what to do. So an option is you wash your hand, as mentioned, you touch the other hand that was not washed yet while the first hand is still wet, which we said earlier, that's an issue. You would have to start again for hamaitzi, right? If one is washing for hamaitzi, remember we mentioned in the previous halacha, and so they accidentally touched the hand that wasn't washed yet, or their friend touched their hand, whatever it is, they would have to start again, right? So what do? On purpose, you will touch your other hand, you wash the other hand, and the hands are not good for Natil Sidaim for the Hamaitzi. However, they're good, it's good enough to make a bracha of a Shayatzar. So then you would make the bracha Shayatzar, and you'd be able to actually wash again properly for Hamaitzi. So this is actually a confusing halacha, I know. So let's recap it one more time. So in general, we know that after making the bracha al natil sidaim, you're not supposed to talk until after reciting the bracha of hamaitzi for the bread and eating it. Now, what happens if somebody used the restroom and they're about to wash after using the restroom, but they also have to sit down for their meal? Over here, the condition changes a little bit. Now one has to make the bracha Asher Yatzar and Hamaitzi. But Asher Yatzar could possibly be a hefsek, because you're not allowed to talk between Al Natilas Yadayim and Hamaitzi. But after you make the bracha Al Natilas Yadayim, if you have to make Asher Yatzar, it's an interruption. It's a hefsek. So what do? Very simple. You wash 1, 2, 3. While the hand is still wet, you touch the other hand. So now it's not good enough for Hamaitzi, such a washing. You wash the other hand, you make a bracha Asher Yatzar, you dry your hands, and you wash again properly for the meal.
With bracha,
With a bracha, the second time.
second bracha,
Yes, the second time you make a bracha Al Natilas Yadayim. The first time you just make a Asher Yatzar, the second one is Al Natilas Yadayim, and that's it. Okay, now the 16th halacha Taz Zayin. This is a very common thing. Now somebody already washed in the middle of their meal. Everything is good. You washed, you made the bracha, you made hamaitzi, everything worked out. But what happens now if while eating you touched a place which is a little bit dirty, or somebody touched their scalp, or they touched a part of the body which is generally covered, or they use the restroom, which you would have to wash again. So how does that work? So let's read on the side. So Tez Zayin, Misha be'emtza sa'uda, somebody in the middle of their meal, naga b'gufay, they touched a part of the body, in a place which is generally covered. Is somebody, they touch the scalp, or somebody who used the restroom. The halacha is, so in the middle of the meal, they should go and wash their hands again. But a bracha is not recited. So if one's hands got dirty, they use the restroom, whatever it is, in a case where they would have to wash again, so you would go wash, but you do not make a bracha of al natilas yadayim, you just do the washing.
and the sheretzah.
And yes, that's for sure, yeah. Now, what happens, this doesn't say inside, but what happens if you touch only with one hand, only one hand got dirty, the other hand did not get dirty, so you would only wash that hand. But you would wash the entire hand, not just what got dirty. Now, this is all for bread. There's only 5 minutes left. Let's recap what we learned, and we'll see if there's time. We'll do another halacha. Okay, so but we started today from the 10th halacha. So if we said that water that even a dog wouldn't drink, it's not fitting for a dog or any other animal, right? It's so salty, it's very bitter, whatever it is. So such water should not be used for natilas yadayim. It has to be, so again, in Baruch Hashem, in the places, in many places in the world today, in general, there isn't a shortage of water. So if you take tap water and it looks like water, in general, you'll be okay. If one finds himself in a place where water is not so readily available, so if the water is very bitter, it's very salty, that it's not befitting even for an animal to drink, that should not be used for natilas yadayim, for washing the hands. Before washing, you have to check your hands to make sure that there's nothing on them separating between the water and the hand. For people with long nails, you should check under the nails to make sure that there's no dirt. If anybody wears a ring, they should take it off. If after the fact they washed and the ring was on, so if it's loose, it's okay. If it was tight, very tight, you can't move it so easily, you should wash again. Somebody's hands, they have a lot of color on it, they were just painting, or they're doing a tie-dye or any other activity and their hands got some paint on it. So if it's a dye, D-Y-E, not D-I-E, if when you feel your hand, there's no substance to it, it's just a color, that's okay. You should try to take it off, but if it does not come off, it's okay. But if it's a paint that you feel you can actually crack it, there's actual substance to it, that should be taken off. That is a chatzitza. Somebody with their parnasa, this is what they do for a living, they're a painter, they're a sheikhet, they always have blood on their hands, or a sefer, they always have ink on their hands. So for them, the halacha is a little bit different, but even so, they should still take it off. Water has to come from a person pouring it. So you can't wash directly from the tap. Rather, a person should be pouring it. Your friend can pour it for you, you can pour it for yourself, but as long as it's a person. One may not eat without washing their hands, even if they're not going to be touching the bread. Let's say the water is available, but too lazy. I don't want to go. It's too much for me to go, get up and wash. But I have gloves right beside me. My sandwich is right here. Halacha is gloves may not be used. Rather, you should have the koyach to go and wash properly and then eat. Now, what happens if somebody's on the road and water is not available, right? What are you going to do? So if it's within Daled Milin, which we said earlier, 1 mil is 0.7 miles, so 4 of those. The next rest stop is still within range, so to speak, or 1 mil going backwards, then you should wait until the next rest stop and wash properly. If for whatever reason one finds themselves on the trip and there's simply no water. You know what? Actually, a very practical example may be if somebody's on a plane ride on a very long trip. For some reason, the stewardess said that there's no water, or she can't give any water. It's only going to be available in a few hours, let's say. And somebody's really hungry, they want to eat now. So what they can do is they can put on gloves, or they can use a towel, anything else to separate between their hands and the bread.
And it's like this.
Yeah, with the gloves on.
The whole thing is to take to mama and I,
Correct. But if somebody has no water,
so you can take something,
yeah, and eat.
anything,
Yeah, as long as it's
cover.
yeah, as long as it's covering the hands. This is only if there's no water. If somebody's about to eat, but they use the restroom beforehand, so we said that if you make the bracha sheyotzer, according to some opinions, this could be a hafsek, it could be an interruption between the bracha of Amrit Sidayim to actual eating. So there's a special way to do it. You wash properly on one hand, you touch the other hand, which was not washed, which we said earlier is problematic. Then you wash the second hand. To make a bracha sheyotzer, that's okay, that's enough. You could make the bracha even though you didn't wash properly for the meal. Then what you do is you'll dry your hands, you'll wash properly for the meal, make the bracha on the Sidayim, and then eat. So somebody in the middle of the soda, in the middle of the meal, they touched a place of the body which is usually covered, or they touched the scalp, or they used the restroom, which these things would require a nun netilas yadayim. So then you would go and wash in the middle. You would not continue eating. You would go and wash, but you do not make a bracha. Let's see, that's the accurate time. Oh, it's 10. Yeah. Okay, so that's 10 o'clock, and then Mitzvah Shem next week we'll recap, finish the halachas, and then Mitzvah Shem start new halachas. Fridays are available.